I'm like Ron.
Either you or Ron are gonna get moved.
My spot.
Yep, so we're gonna be live here pretty quick. Yes, you bet. We are live. Let's call the meeting to order. And Chrissy, can you take roll call?
Mayor Horn.
Here.
Alderman Kittle.
Here.
Alderman Vries.
Here.
Alderman Weinmeier.
Here.
Alderman Montello.
Here.
Alderman Volkert.
Here.
Alderperson Kraft. Here.
And can everybody hear us loud and clear on the mics? We're good? All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna offer a motion that we adopt the agenda.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 5 is public comments. Does anybody wish to make a public comment at this time? Hearing none. Item 6 is consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
The motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and that carries. First up is new business, 8.1, outgoing board and commission member, Mr. Pat Becker. We have a little going away present for your many years of service to the community. Yeah, we'll get up there. I figured it's easier to talk in the microphone so people at home that are listening. 12 years in the council. I know you did 4 years in the county board. It's not our recognition, but 12 years in the council, many, many years on utility commission, police and fire, and I think there's probably a few others that you were appointed to. So welcome for your many, many years of giving back to the community.
So are these grandchildren you have here? 3 of them, okay. Well, just y'all,
It's about, we see 3, so
Yes.
is it 3 or is it about?
but you all look at your grandpa. He did a great job for the city of Richmond. So that's what public service is all about. You can be very proud of him.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a picture here, too.
You need a picture with the mayor and then a picture with your family.
At the,
Right, how about family? All right,
Family.
come on, go up with Grandpa.
no, I'm good with that.
All right.
I see some future public servants.
That's right. Right.
Pat,
Hey.
Any speeches? Okay, thanks, Pat.
Yeah, any words?
Good, thank you.
Bad guys.
Thank you very much.
Pat,
Mayor, if you don't mind, I'd like to say a word, too.
Absolutely. Go
So
for it.
I've worked with Pat on a number of commissions, so I want to say thank you so much for the years of service that you provided for the city and just the guidance. It was so much appreciated, so I want to thank you.
Good job, Pat Becker.
And I would just echo Beth's comments. Utility Commission, I know I worked with Pat a little bit on the Police and Fire Commission when Craig Yellick was appointed as the current chief. And Pat was always prepared to ask good questions and just a joy to work with. So our loss, but thank you again for all the service and enjoy your retirement.
Oh,
There we go.
all right.
Whoa, there's a look.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Very good. Thank you much.
thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
All right, item 8.2, the White Pine Substation and Police Department Fiber Extension.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm just bringing up the map here.
Can we hear him?
Oh, no. Okay. Okay, so as part of the utility capital plan, there is a project that extends fiber to the White Pine Substation, and doing so will allow the substation to have enhanced remote monitoring and control abilities. And as this project was in the planning stages, staff kind of noticed that it is close, the route that it takes comes close to the police department. The police department is currently under construction, or the expansion is. And when we ran the numbers, the PD would save approximately $519 a month if they join the city's internet and IP phone network. So essentially the cost to extend fiber to the police department as kind of a addendum to the White Pine extension would pay for itself in approximately 3 years and 4 months. So what staff is recommending is authorization to proceed with the fiber extension project, including the extension to the police department.
Oh, can we roll that up? Is your breakdown on the bottom of that? The screen, I thought it was on the
Like,
bottom of the screen.
like we have in our packet?
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve this White Pine fiber extension as Joel's laid out for us.
Including the extension to the PD?
Yes, well, that's what it is,
Second.
right? This is just the extension of the PD.
Correct, yes.
The other
The
stuff's
Utility
on-
Commission has already looked at the White Pine extension, so.
Got it.
Yeah, we just wanted to. bring
Yeah,
the
I'm
PD
sorry,
on.
to the PD.
All right, there's a motion to approve the White Pine Substation and Police Department fiber extension. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Pete already did.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a motion and second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Kittle,
Yes.
Alderman Vries,
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Alderman Montello,
Yes,
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft.
Yes.
And that motion passes. Item 8.3, Ordinance 556, snow removal.
Evening, Mayor and Council. I think Beth said she would take this one.
I
No.
think I'm taking the next 5. I'm going to take the next 5 or so, so I'm going to let Eric take this one.
So back in April, it was discussed at the Public Works Committee regarding some snow plowing or removal issues that came forward. There was an inequity of how different properties were being treated. There was one business that the city had an agreement with to charge them for snow removal. There's other businesses that, push their snow from their lots out into the public right away and then just kind of figure the city's gonna remove it. And then there are other businesses that keep all their snow on their own parking lots and pay for the snow to be removed on their own by their own contractor. And so this ordinance was put together and approved by the Public Works Committee to kind of treat everybody fairly. What it entails is essentially saying that snow on your private property should remain on your private property. It shouldn't be pushed into a public thoroughfare or a public property for the city to remove.
And the ones that are currently have been doing that for years, have we talked with them, given the heads up, or they'll be notified before this winter?
They will be notified before this winter, but no, they all haven't been notified currently.
Any questions?
Comment, but I don't know if you want to wait till a motion comes.
Yeah.
Well, my comment is, I'm not sure it solves all the inequities. I think that it's always good for the city and small business owners to try and have a good understanding of how things work. Part of it would be communication at this point. Part of it is I know a lot of the Main Street push their sidewalk snow, the city removes that. Yet out in the residential areas, that would not be accepted. So I think what we're doing is we're pushing a little bit against the business owners of downtown and not necessarily the residents to be equitable.
Eric, can you just talk just a bit about, you probably don't have to get very descriptive for me to understand about the inequality and the way things have been, and we understand there is no grandfathering in, but there's grandfathering in, right? And so my guess is if you have we'll just call it a newer property situation, you're on your own as far as your snow goes. It's the businesses that have been around for a long time And years ago, the city said, hey, no problem, we'll take care of it. And so I think relative to the mayor's comment, it's really about education, obviously. And I think you're right. I think it's difficult when people say, wait a minute, they're doing this for them and they're not doing it for me. And so and I'm trying to get my computer fired up here and it's not working quite right. But just this idea that in fact we are equitable up and down the line. So there is no different treatment. You know, because if somebody says, well, no, you've been doing it for me for 40 years, and somebody said, well, wait a minute, I'm new, and, you know, now you're not doing it for me, you're doing it for them. We have to make sure, in fact, that everybody's being treated the same. And I understand that's what your goal is.
Yeah, and I think they're finding that it's taking more and more time to deal with this private snow that's being pushed into the street, and then it's taking them longer to get to the other street. You know, we have more and more roads every year, and to maintain that level of service, they got to be able to get out to them in a certain period of time. And I think they're finding it's taking them longer and longer to deal with some of this extra snow.
And I think one of the other things that we talked about too is it was creating a hazard at like some of the corner areas, that they were building it up so high that it was creating a hazard on those corners too. So, I mean, I feel fairly confident that the new ordinance establishes the equity that we were after and really just puts it out there. I mean, this is the policy, this is what we've been doing, and this is how we're going to go about charging if it comes down to it.
All right, I guess the floor is open for a motion.
I would make a motion to approve ordinance 556, snow removal,
And,
bend the rules.
yep. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve ordinance 556 and suspend the rules. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Alderman Vries,
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Alderman Montello,
Yes.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft,
Yes.
Alderman Kittle.
Yes.
That motion passes. Item 8.4, Derrick Investments LP Annexation Petition.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I have the next 5 items from the Plan Commission, and so we'll go through those in the PowerPoint, and then I ask questions kind of towards the end of each one. We'll do them individually. So the first one is the Derrick Investments. Joel, you want to roll on to the next slide? So each of the 5 items that we had followed a process. It went to the Development Review Committee. It had a public notice if necessary. We had a Plan Commission on July 8th with a public hearing for 3 items. And then it comes today for final approval at the City Council. So the first item is the Derrick Investment LP, the annexation petition from them. If you take a look at the red box that's towards the bottom right-hand corner, Derrick, is petitioning for 13.04 acres to be annexed into the city. It is directly to the south of Aldi and to the health center. It is guided for mixed-use corridor uses.
What does that mean? Mixed use, what could that be?
So it means that it's normally what we used to call the downtown or the business, the commercial area kind of used to be called that. But with the mixed-use corridor, it leaves it open. It's probably one of our uses that allows the most into it. So you can have multifamily housing, commercial uses. There can be in some areas single-family. So this area allows for the most uses, but mainly it's commercial uses.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve ordinance 557 and suspend the rules.
Second.
And can I just make one comment if we could? Can we go to the last slide? If you could amend your motion, Alderman Montello, to include what we've been doing in the past is staff has been recommending waiving the city fees and paying for the state fees to encourage annexation. We would need that in the motion
I
if
will,
possible.
and add that recommendation to my motion.
I will include that in my second also.
All right, so there's a motion and a second to suspend the rules, pass ordinance 557, waive fees. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Alderman Montello,
Yes.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft,
Yes.
Alderman Kittle,
Yes.
Alderman Vries.
Yes.
And that motion passes. Item 8.5, Fox Run Phase 4 Preliminary Plat.
Before you, we have the area for the preliminary plat for Fox Run Phase 4. The developer, John Peterson, is here with us today if anyone has any questions for him. It is the parcel as you drive into Fox Run directly to the right. It's 14 acres. It's guided in our comprehensive plan for low-density residential uses. It's Zone Z2, and it's obviously surrounded by existing and future phases of Fox Run. Joel? So in looking at this plat, if you look in the yellow areas, it has 23 single-family lots and 6 twin home lots. As normal, we've looked at lot requirements, setbacks, streets, sidewalks, landscaping, outlots for stormwater, utilities, park dedication, and a development agreement. As staff reviewed all of these things for the preliminary plat, we moved it forward to the Plan Commission. And the Planning Commission, along with the DRC, recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the conditions listed in, I think the next slide will say, I think there's 9 conditions.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve this Fox Run Phase 4 preliminary plat. And yes, there is 9 conditions that are attached in the packet.
Second that.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve Phase 4 preliminary plat for Fox Run. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Alderman Montello?
Yes.
Alderman Volkert?
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft?
Yes.
Alderman Kittle?
Yes.
Alderman Vries?
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier?
Yes.
And that motion passes. Item H6 is the Meadow Crossing preliminary plat.
So this item was the last item for the Planning Commission on the public hearing that was held last week on Thursday. It's Meadow Crossing preliminary plat. It is the piece of property that was purchased from the city of Richmond at approximately 30 acres on 140th and Double G. This property with our comprehensive plan is guided for low density residential. We rezoned it back in 2020 to Z2, making it a use for residential. And it's surrounded by single family, rural family, and some possible planned development to the west. Joel? In reviewing it, we did the same process as we've done in the past with the preliminary plats. Obviously, both of these will come back with a final plat, and it will go before the Plan Commission and City Council. This preliminary plat has 34 single-family lots with 60 twin home lots. The twin homes are towards the front of the development at 140th, and the single-family homes are back towards the farthest back at 34 single-family homes. We looked at lot requirements, setback, landscaping, outlots, access. We have 2 roads, or two roads that go out to 140th. We looked at utilities, stormwater, and we will be looking at a development agreement with this group. The one thing I did want to mention is at the public hearing, we had 31 members in attendance from the surrounding areas. We sent out a notice to them, quite a large group. The 2 major concerns that I'd like to mention was this group thought that it was always going to be a park, right? We talked about in 2019 that the council made some decisions to change the zoning and to put this up for RFP and RFQ process. So those were discussed at the public hearing. And then secondly, there was a discussion on stormwater and retention of that. So the 2 stipulations that were added to the 11 conditions from the Plan Commission were that the developer was willing to put in an additional buffer of $10,000 with trees along areas where they would like to buffer some of these homes. And they would also, the city staff, along with the engineers of the developer, would have a meeting with the people surrounding, and there was like 8 of them that had concerns about the stormwater. I've already set that meeting up. It'll be next Wednesday at 2 o'clock with those homeowners, and it will be on site with Eric and the engineer from the developer. So everyone seemed to be satisfied with those extra couple of conditions. The one thing that we talk about with all of these developments is park dedication. In the green off to the side, there's 4 acres that this group is willing to dedicate for the parks. This is in our comprehensive plan and in a park plan that's guided for this use. So we feel as staff that this is appropriate. There will be a mowed walking path that goes from one development to the next development. So the DRC group and the Plan Commission are recommending approval that it meets the subdivision and zoning ordinance with the 13 conditions.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve Meadow Crossing preliminary plat with the 13 conditions that are been outlined in the packet.
All right, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second to that motion?
Second it.
The motion and a second to approve the Meadow Crossing preliminary plat. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I've just got a couple things. Beth, thanks for setting up that meeting with the owners of the property that's currently there. There was quite a few of them there that were pretty disgusted with flooding in that area, flooding of the backyards. So it's something we do have to look at. We don't want to create more. My assumption is that this development will probably help alleviate that, but
It
we s-
will, and Eric can probably address that, but it will alleviate some
we
of
still
those
need to look
issues.
at that.
Yep.
And two, it hasn't went to the park board yet. Beth mentioned something about parkland dedication. I'm okay with this, the entire plat. My only problem is I don't know that the general public will be able to use that area as far as parkland goes very much. It's kind of hilly, really hilly. And we've done this in the past, and I know we've done this in the past, we've talked about it on the park board, that we don't want to take a development in that just wants to basically get rid of land that they can't use to dedicate it as a park, and we now don't get the fees for that area that we could use for a park or we could use for other locations. So this would be about $58,000 that, because they dedicated this land to us as a park, I don't think it's gonna get a huge amount of use. There's not a lot you can do on it. It will be a nice walking trail from one development to the other, I understand that. We have some issues with Peninsula Heights and getting to the trail on 140th. Noah and I had talked a little bit about that, and he reminded me that that connection was gonna be about $100,000, so I forgot about that. That was a pretty pricey extension of the trail from Peninsula to 140th, so I just wanted to bring those things up.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, I would like to, but that's a lot of money. So we still have to talk about it at the park board level. I don't know how that's gonna go, but we'll make a discussion on it and we'll make a fair decision, so just wanted to talk a little bit.
When you
about that.
talk about the parkland dedication, is it really just green space? So it can be passive parkland? I mean, it's not necessarily going to be a park where there's equipment. So not like what people would normally say, oh, this is a park. I mean, it's meant to be set aside green space, right? That can be used for multiple purposes or just kind of just to be there,
Which
right?
those houses along the back end of this development will really, really, really appreciate.
Benefit, yeah. I
Because that's gonna be a nice big backyard.
mean, it's similar to kind of the Paper Jack Greenway, kind of.
That or
That's what I'm
like Will River
picturing.
Bluffs off of County Road A.
Okay.
You're not going to see playground or ball field or things
Okay.
like that. It's a more passive area, trying to preserve the kind of natural environment. You have a walking trail. There might be some minimal amenities. A picnic shelter, picnic tables, benches, just some basic things like that. But you're not going to see swing sets or more passive things. So.
Okay.
Which is all great, and which is all really good, but in lieu of the $57,000 that we could use building something somewhere else or improving something somewhere else, that's my only concern. And if you've walked Willow River Bluffs down at that passive area that couldn't be built on, so I understand that portion of it. It was a floodplain, but it's one of the most picturesque trails we have in town. It's just beautiful down there. So the difference between that and that, I don't know, and I just wanted to bring it up.
And I think the other thing, Craig, that maybe we should be aware of, just to kind of throw it out there, and not as an argument point or anything, but we did sell this land to them for $15,000 an acre, and for 4 of the acres, they're donating back to us as parks. So there was a payment, if you're thinking there's no payment. That is that part of a payment on that, so.
Any other comments? All right. Call the roll.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft,
Yes.
Alderman Kittle,
No,
Alderman Vries,
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier, Alderman Montello.
Yes.
All right, and that motion passes 5-1. Item H7, Ball 5 Rental CSM application.
Okay, we have two CSMs from Ball 5 Rentals. These are pretty simple. They're taking an area that had a single lot and they're breaking it up with the homes on them so that they can possibly sell these in the future. So we can kind of go right into the, this is the area, it's between 5th and 6th Street on the west side. It's guided for low-density residential. It's in the Z5 neighborhood, and it is surrounded by residential dwellings. And then the next slide shows the actual two CSMs, which you can see they're just splitting up the lots so that in the future, these can be sold off. I think it's a good move. We've checked things like setbacks and easements and those kind of things when we're reviewing this. I think the other thing to keep in mind is that we're doing two CSMs based on the state requirement of only allowing 4 lots per CSM. So that's why they have 2 here. So it's a state and our ordinance requirement.
I would make
Really?
a motion,
No, go ahead.
I'd make a motion to approve the Ball 5 rental CSM application.
And I'll second that, and my question is, just a statement of fact, all this does is facilitate the transfer of ownership. It makes that easier
Yes.
Correct.
when the properties want to be sold.
Very good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Alderperson Kraft,
Yes.
Alderman Kittle,
Yes?
Alderman Vries,
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Alderman Montello,
Yes.
Alderman Volkert.
Yes. And that motion passes. Item 8.8, Mint Development Caribou Cabin CSM application.
Okay, so Mint Development submitted an application for a certified survey map to subdivide one commercial lot. The commercial lot is located at Paper Jack and South Knowles Avenue, directly across from Quick Trip. This is about a 6-acre parcel. They're subdividing it up into about 0.7 acres. So if we can go to the next, obviously it's guided for mixed use and is in the Z3 zoning district. If you look at the CSM itself, up in the top corner is the lot that they're subdividing. It's on paper, right on the corner of Paper Jack there. They are looking to put a fairly small Caribou cabin drive-through in there. We did ask them to move the the site plan was approved at the Plan Commission meeting. We did ask them to move back their building off of Knowles a bit based on circulation of traffic, so it was less dangerous. So this is the CSM. We look at all the normal things that we do. We look at the lot requirements, setback, access, easement, utilities, grading, and park dedication, which isn't necessary for this one other than the park fees being paid during the impact at building permit time. The DRC and the Plan Commission are recommending approval for the certified survey map from Mint Development as it applies with the zoning and subdivision ordinance with the 3 conditions.
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion that we approve the CSM application from Mint Development with the 3 conditions that are in, as it's been presented.
Second?
And I'll third.
Third?
All right, we have a motion, a second, and a third. Is there any discussion?
I just have one question, Beth. What is Lot 1, the small piece of land is where
Yes,
this...
the other one is an outlot. It would be
Yeah,
considered an
right.
outlot, and if someone purchases that outlot, then they would have the availability to kind of subdivide that again if necessary.
Sure, but they're going on this property that fronts Paper Jack is where their building's going.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Kittle,
Yes?
Alderman Vries,
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Alderman Montello,
Yes.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft.
Yes.
And that motion passes. Item 8.9, Water's Edge Final Plat ETZ area.
Okay, the last item from the Planning Commission is from DCCI Investments, which is a Derrick company. They're looking for a final plat for Water's Edge, which is located in Richmond Township. It is within the 1.5 extraterritorial zoning area for the City of Richmond to review. This is the final plat, so the City and Plan Commission have already reviewed and approved the preliminary plat. It's guided for low density, and at this time, there are no city utilities available to this area.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to make offer a motion that we approve Water's Edge Final Plat ETZ with the one condition that's there.
Second?
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the Water's Edge Final Plat ETZ. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Vries,
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Alderman Montello,
Yes.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft,
Yes.
Alderman Kittle.
Yes.
That motion passes. Item 8.10, Public Works Committee recommendation, the West First Street two-way conversion.
Thanks. So a couple meetings back, we had discussed converting West First Street to two-way traffic, and we'd gone through a number of options. At that time, I think council was all in agreement that the two-way conversion should be made, but not really a decision on which option to use. So we put it back to committee. We went over the options again at the committee level, and I won't bore everyone with going through every option again, but the decision by the committee was to convert to two-way traffic, make all the parking along there parallel parking by redoing the striping on the street. And so this option was chosen because it's the cheapest option. It doesn't require any reconstruction of the street, and we could make it happen within a few weeks after the decision, so.
Well, just for the record, there's somebody who's using the streets today thought we already changed it today, as I saw somebody pull out of there, so.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve this option one, converting West First Street, that portion of it back into a two-way street with option one. And I think it's important to note that we're not spending a ton of money. And if some change relative to business concerns needs to be made down the road, we certainly can consider that. But I think this is the way to proceed right now as it's been approved through committee.
I'll second that motion.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to approve the West First Street two-way conversion. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, just a little clarification for Carrie's sake. When you're on East First heading towards Door Drill and you want to take a left-hand turn, you can't do that still.
I know,
Okay,
I know.
Just so everybody out there knows.
I asked if maybe perhaps that was also an option.
Or friend?
Totally
A
asking for
constituent mentioned that to me.
The same will be from coming from West First now. You can only turn right on it.
I got it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Alderman Montello,
Yes.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft,
Yes.
Alderman Kittle,
Yes.
Alderman Vries.
Yes.
And that motion passes. Item 811, Public Works Committee recommendation, surplus equipment.
Yeah, this is a line striper that's already been replaced, so Public Works would like to just declare it as surplus equipment and then put it up for auction.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to offer a motion that we approve the declaring the 1994 Graco airless line striper as surplus equipment.
Second?
There is a motion and second to declare the line striper surplus equipment. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Montello,
Yes.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft,
Yes.
Alderman Montello, Alderman Kittle,
Yes.
Alderman Vries,
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier.
Yes.
And Eric, just out of curiosity, I saw them driving the line striper. That's a new piece of equipment,
That's the
isn't
new
it?
one.
The
Yep.
self-propelled,
Right.
like he could just go anywhere and just
Yeah.
spray lines.
And it's much more efficient. It's a lot neater because it's got two spray nozzles.
Yeah.
For doing the curb.
They're doing the curb really,
Oh.
actually rather quickly.
Yeah.
I was very efficiently.
It looks nicer too.
Yes, no, it does. It does for sure.
You
Thank
offered test driving to council members?
Fun to drive.
And you needed this stripe?
Go on a ride-along?
Cheer my
You
time
want to go
in.
on a ride-along?
Yeah.
Very good. Communications miscellaneous. Yes, it did. Communications miscellaneous.
I just want to thank the chamber and everybody for a great Fun Fest and well-organized. I think it went really well. So thank the chamber for holding that and hope everybody had a good time.
Parade was fun. I enjoyed that. Any other communications?
I do have, I know that in the past we have done something for National Night Out, and I have talked to, I think, a couple people, or I brought it up at the Public Works Committee meeting, just to find out if there was opportunities for us to do it again this year, but do it in a neighborhood kind of fashion instead of doing it. We've done it at Mary Park before. We've kind of highlighted all of the different departments. We've had police and fire out there doing demonstrations. But I actually was approached by a couple of our community members that live in my district, and there really is an interest in getting communities back together after the 2020 year. just to kind of celebrate and unite. So I don't know if that's something that we could do or market and promote from a citywide perspective.
Well, are you suggesting, for example, like it would be a Paper Jack Park?
I'm suggesting that we support the community in holding neighborhood-based events. So that's my question. Is there an opportunity for us to market and promote National Night Out, doing it a little bit differently than we have in the past, and support them by, I mean, if they need to do a road closure, to have their event, if we could maybe provide barricades, or if we could, I don't know if we could waive the fees, if they would have to put in an application.
All right, so I'm sorry, when you talked about the fire department, the police department, that really isn't anything of what you're talking about. You're talking about a neighborhood.
Historically, yes, but
neighborhood having a deal.
historically, National Night Out is really the police's opportunity to kind of get out and mix with the community and kind of get people out. So it would be different. I mean, if police and fire are interested in visiting any of the neighborhood events, I think that would be welcome, but,
So
yeah, I
you're-
just
You're
wanted
just
to throw it
looking
out.
for a little coordination effort
I
from the
am.
city. So throw it on those people and,
Sorry, that probably should have been, that wasn't really communications and miscellaneous, but.
Yeah, and I think to Alderperson Kraft's point, I mean, some communities have, instead of doing one night, a whole community, they kind of take it out to certain neighborhoods. So they might say on Monday night, we're going to be up on North 4th Street. We're going to block off a section. Maybe we have a fire truck, a police car, little, maybe smaller scale than if you had one centralized event. But it kind of takes it out to the neighborhoods. People kind of, get out, meet your neighbor. Maybe it's an opportunity for council members to, if your district's night is on this particular evening, you stop by. And there could even be multiple ones on the same night. It's not that we have to have a different night each week, but you could take your times. I mean, there's a lot of options, but.
Solid Rock is doing one July 31st.
Yeah.
Kind of
Oh.
they're closing down 3rd Street. And I'm going to have some sheep there for people to pet.
You have sheep?
Do-
Well, look for an invitation to our party.
We have some very friendly sheep.
They don't travel well, though.
They don't travel well?
They do. They'll travel
okay.
just fine.
Okay.
They'll happy to provide some sheep at any event for kids to pet.
George Norman will be up.
Yeah, I mean,
Come run across the greens.
and I have one that follows me
Carrie,
around.
did you want to set something up as far as be a coordinator of these events, or?
Well,
But
okay.
she's
so
asked a question. That's a volunteer.
I was just wondering I was just wondering what your thought was.
Volunteered for it.
Oh, boy. I really just wanted to see if there was interest, if there was some way that we could promote it. I know that we are going to hold an event in our neighborhood, so the wheels are kind of already turning. We've got some really interested residents that are setting things up, but I wanted to see if it's something we could do more on a citywide perspective, at least market and promote it, maybe use our social media, just to talk about, here are different ideas, here's what you could do. If you need support from the city in terms of location in your neighborhood, or maybe barricades, I don't know if we have like this.
Yeah, and we do the
plethora.
barricades, but I think that's
Okay.
a great point, that if stuff comes up and you want to do something, your district, your neighborhood, or someone like Solid Rock wants to do something,
Yes.
the city does
Can we provide some support?
the barricades.
Yeah.
They'll set them up so we can, you have some official city barricades to close those streets down, and highly encourage it.
Maybe we could make a post on Facebook that says if any neighborhood is interested,
Yes.
contact someone at the city to
See, you
sign up.
reading what I'm trying to
To kind of
articulate
sign
and not
up
doing a
for your
very good job?
neighborhood, so we know the night, we can run the police cars and the fire
Yes.
trucks through during that time, and we can help with barricades or whatever. But that way, we're not completely organizing it, but we're letting them know that if you want to do a neighborhood meeting, you can do that, and we would support it.
Yes.
So it
And I
might
think-
just be a post.
I think that, yes, and I think people have reached out to the police department already, and Lieutenant Kaler wasn't really sure if there was a citywide kind of event that was being held, but I told her it was probably more like neighborhood-based is what people were hoping. So the official date is Tuesday, August 3rd, is the actual National Night Out. And we can register as an organization with National Night Out as well, and they can send us their marketing materials. So if that's, I felt like Beth had just volunteered, actually. So I don't know.
I'm not sure that I did.
We can work
We could
together.
al-
How about we work together?
What we could also do is offer specific parks in specific neighborhoods too, like Cherokee Park could have one, and
Oh,
Mary
yeah.
Park and the Northside Park, so they'd all be regionalized parks, and if we could just put that on the internet or put that on our Facebook page and highlight each of the parks and each of the smaller neighborhood
Hmm.
parks, and to get a volunteer from that neighborhood to set up something
Like
on
it.
August 3rd to be National Night Out, then all the neighborhood could go to that specific park. So I think that would be just as easy.
And the blurb I would do with the police and fire, you'll come up with some better wording, but, depending on run volumes that day, and
Oh,
if they're
yeah.
busy,
Yeah.
that they're not gonna be able to make it, but, and you can work on some wording that we'll at least try to have them there for their events.
And we can reach out to EMS as well, and we've,
absolutely. Yep,
you know,
great
the last
point.
couple of years, we didn't have it last year with COVID. We did have it the previous years in the police department parking lot. Obviously, that's torn up this year with the building project, so, but I think folks are looking for an opportunity to kind of get out there, that sense of normalcy again, and so I think, kind of based on the feedback here, I think staff can kind of help run with it, and if all the persons have recommendations or suggestions, or if you know someone in your district that you think would be, all over this and would love to be, just let us know their name and we'll reach out to them.
I would like to reserve the paint striper for our event, if possible, and some sheep, and a side of sheep.
And a side of sheep.
Yeah,
Keys? You want the keys to it too, don't you?
yes,
You want to drive it?
yep.
Very good. Any other communications?
I'm going to offer a motion that we go into closed session.
Second,
Motion and second to go in closed session. Call the roll.
Alderman Volkert,
Yes.
Alderperson Kraft,
yes.
Alderman Kittle,
Yes.
Alderman Breeze,
Yes.
Alderman Weinmeier,
Yes.
Alderman Montello.
Yes.
All right, we'll be in closed session.
Thank you.
Beth?